welcome to Extended Rest for the month of December 2019. This is it. This is the last bit of content until 2020. I'm Jason. I'm usually the Dungeon Master, but let's do that thing where we go around the table and introduce ourselves, starting with Bree.
Hi guys, I'm Brianna. I play Clara Urothdale from Group C. And a moment ago, you almost hit me in the face because you were gesturing so hard, and I felt the air go past my cheek.
I can see. Yeah, I've got pretty good.
Why we
control.
play from Skype. Most people don't realize that's why we actually don't play live.
No, it becomes
together,
a context for it.
because you're aggressive. Yeah.
I am. I hit. Yeah. You know what? I'm just so used to hitting her.
It was just a thing where I was like,
Mike, okay. I'm gonna take it down enough.
Clarify, that's
Jason,
a joke.
you need to be reminded that this is recorded.
Oh, you're right. This is
live right now.
Yeah.
We
For
wouldn't be
legal
the
reasons,
first
that's a
ones.
joke.
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't winking. It just hurts my eye.
Oh my God, cop should be here any minute. And Ryan.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. I play Ferris Alder.
And Valerie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Valerie, and I play Elena on Group B.
And Jasper.
And I'm Jasper. I play Merrick Ethelred on Group C.
So we're going to be talking about episodes 10, 11, and 12. And there's a lot to go over. This, again, we're not running down every single event in the shows, but I do have some stuff written down here because we have a lot. What?
He has it written down on a Post-it note.
Yeah.
Hey,
What?
don't diss the Post-it notes.
Yes!
I love Post-it notes.
It was so perfect. It was exactly you. And it made me smile.
I
That's
like
all.
Post-it notes. What should I have written it down on?
Written with a Bic pen, I assume?
What? What a stationary snob. I didn't know I was living with Rob Wiesahan.
Wow.
So I have it written down, and we're going to be talking about 10, 11, and 12. So there's a ton of stuff, starting with 10, which is a Group B episode, which kicks off with the group essentially talking to Jadzia.
I was in that one.
Yeah.
I'm Jadzia, by the way, also.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to kick things off by asking the chat, and I'm getting all kinds of messages. I'm going to turn that around. By asking you guys what you think about Jadzia essentially giving permission to go to a different city that's hundreds of miles away and giving this group and her city's paladins permission to attack someone from a rival city.
Yeah.
A place where Jadzia has no jurisdiction, those paladins have no jurisdiction, and Group B certainly have no jurisdiction. How do you guys feel about that? Is vigilante justice the way?
I feel like that was the right choice.
I would just put this out there. It is a bold power play. And we know that at least in this world, things are not taken lightly. And so a power grab like that, even if it's not intentionally being a power grab, it's definitely going to be interpreted that way from several groups.
I feel like that's going to, like, that's the purpose of the letters was supposed to be like, hey bro, we cool, like, we're just going after the enemy of our enemy.
Yeah.
But I do think that they could definitely take it. The other two houses, like, I think
Yeah.
Tetsio will probably be cool. I can't promise it,
Yeah.
but I think so. He's playing with his phone.
Oh.
Sorry guys, if you can hear that. It's Pippin, he has a bone.
Eh.
But I'm not sure how Silverclaw and Hammerhand are going to react, and I'm not going to pretend I am. I think the second that Darmok's name was attached to everything, that was her turning point. But I'm not saying it's smart.
Well, one of the reasons I ask is because I'm a huge fan of mob movies. I grew up on them. I love period piece, drama type things. And a weird thing that's happened, in our history anyway, is there have been figures like Bonnie and Clyde and Al Capone and like John Gotti, people like that, who have this strange respect from the quote-unquote working man, like the everyday person. And there are probably a lot of people that the Black Hand has helped obviously not 100%
Legitimately?
altruistically. Like, it's not like out of the goodness of her heart, but she has helped them. If not the actual authorities in Brightport, how do you feel like they would react to people who might not even be in her organization? People who would just be dock workers and, loan sharks, bookies, whatever. Like, do you think they would spring to attention, help her out, or be angry that someone would come in from an outsider's perspective and just take over?
That's interesting. I didn't think about that, and I think the reason I didn't think about that is because of the way Brightport is run for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think about Milo as a character who's in the Safe Haven Society. He's just a regular person in Brightport, and I don't think he'd care, because at the end of the day, none of the politics of Brightport help him in any way.
Right.
So unless you're involved in the houses, that's just a thing that's kind of lord over you, where it's like, that's so beyond anything that I can affect anyway.
Right.
Why should I care? Which might not be the common person's thought process, but that's definitely like, it's already so messed up there. Like, literally 3 dragon statues control how Brightport is run. That's pretty weird.
Well, yeah, the whole thing is weird. And
So it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like I voted, so who the frick cares, I don't know why I'm censoring myself.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if it kind of devolves into a civil war of sorts within the city. Of, you're going to have people that are in a camp of, oh, well, yes, I made a deal with the Black Hand and they helped me out with this one thing, so I feel attached to that. But then you're going to have the other side of it of, well, yeah, the Black Hand has just ruined my fucking life and I want them out. Or even of, well, maybe this is the chance. You're also going to have people scared and, all sorts of little camps. But I wonder if it's going to basically dissolve into this two-sided civil war inside the city.
And I'm thinking of it, best case scenario, right? Like, this goes off like a surgery. Like, Group B goes in, they have the backing of paladins, they cut out the Black Hand, extract it, and then there's a little vacuum.
Yes.
That's assuming there's no collateral damage, innocent people don't get hurt, buildings don't fall down. Like, that's a big assumption.
Yeah.
And it's all Karen's fault.
If there's like a civil war type thing, I almost feel like there's going to be kind of like a purge type thing where there's a lot of rich people in Brightport who would be fine even though they're involved, and then a lot of poor people who will not be fine even if they're not involved, and that sucks.
Yeah, and I don't have any good example of this. I'm sure there are thousands, but every power, whatever, like context that's happened for quite some time, there's always a moment when it gets to a breaking point and it all sort of like shakes up like a snow globe and everything comes back down. Like, that happens over and over and over and over. It might be decades, but this might be one of those times when Brightport as we know it could end up becoming, if things are set in motion, into a different kind of Brightport. That would be really, really interesting. I have no idea what it would be, but it could be one of those moments. And I'll eat a Cheeto.
And Jadzia could be starting a whole new war. Who knows?
Without realizing it.
Yeah.
Without meaning or
Best
not without any intention.
Can I come at it as a naive person?
Please.
I
think everything's gonna be great.
I think everything that I'm about to say means nothing. Okay. I think if people are doing things with the Black Hand, like, there's a good chance it's illegal. If the Black Hand gets taken out one way or another, all those people, because I feel like, especially with more of the, like, it's kind of like a mob. Maybe this isn't how mobs work, but I feel like a lot of people get into it without meaning to. They just kind of accidentally become involved.
Val, you know a lot about the mob because you watched The Kitchen, remember? So just
No, I didn't. I didn't. I came late.
Oh, damn.
Yep. Well, you missed a hell of a movie. That was, you missed,
wow. You know what? I blocked it out. I actually had kind of not realized what you were talking about. Yeah. And then I had to like retrace my steps.
You guys,
so thanks for bringing that back into my memory.
Thank the Lord that cats didn't come out during Dragon Con.
Get
I was thinking
ready.
the same thing.
Dragon Con 2020, Emoji 2, baby!
No!
Emoji Movie 2!
Oh. I'm just hoping for cats too for 2022.
More cats.
Okay, can I talk about the
Yes,
mob?
sorry,
more?
okay. Yes, please, educate.
So people get involved without necessarily meaning to. So I feel like if the Black Hand gets taken out, there's gonna be a lot of people that will feel very fine about it because they know they were doing the wrong thing anyway. They were like, oh, well now I don't have to deal with consequences if I wanted to back out anyway, and then the Black Hand would have been mad at me. Now that's not even a thing because the Black Hand's taken care of.
Oh, like a lot of people who have deals with the Black Hand owe the Black Hand something. So it'd be kind of just like, oh man, that worked out. Like,
yeah.
Well, then on the flip side of that, though, with a group like DRP, I don't want to give away too much of that, but there's promises on the other side as well, just for even any sort of crime organization. It's okay, well, I'm going to do this if you do this in return. So there's also that flip side as well of, well, I'm putting in all this work and maybe I've worked for them for 10 years at this point. I'm about to retire. I'm about to get my payoff. And that whole thing has just been stripped away from me.
I feel like there's a big gradient to it, right? It's because I think like a paladin's view of it or something like that, or even there's a very binary black and white. It's like crime bad, Black Hand bad, which to a certain extent,
Demons bad, hell bad.
Yeah. But to a certain extent, I absolutely agree. But to use the mafia analogy a little bit, you got the Black Hand at the top, and obviously there's some sort of interaction with demons. So all that's bad. But as you trickle down, there are a ton of people who benefit from her being in power that have nothing to do with crime.
I've seen enough mobster movies because of Jason to know, like, you don't, like, okay, the Mafia, and this is historical as well. Historically, the Mafia has also done good things. Like, the police aren't looking after these houses because they're filled with Irish people. We'll look after your houses for you. If someone fucks with you, we'll fuck with them back. Because the police aren't going to do anything because you're this person.
And that's going back a ways, but even looking at unions and stuff like that, when that was a little more of a noble following, like unions kind of got a bad rap now, mostly because of the Mafia, but that became a greed issue. Like, look at it from a Brightport perspective. You probably have a lot more cargo coming in and going out. All that cargo can't be legal, but you have regular ass dock workers loading.
It could be.
Well, I mean, okay. When it comes to the Black
That's back to Valerie's point of like, you're choosing to do a bad thing if it's not legal.
Yeah.
Right. But okay, there are people loading that stuff up and tending to ships and cleaning stuff that have nothing to do with what's on those ships. They're just hired labor. They're unskilled labor. They're grunts. Yeah. But they're getting paid to do something because there's more stuff coming in. There are more jobs. And it's completely subjective and it's very gray, but yeah.
Yeah. I think if the attack is not surgical or successful on the first time, then I think it's going to turn out into this bigger citywide all-out war. And there's going to be a lot of different sides and stuff for whatever they want to fight for. But then after that is said and done, and let's say the group is successful on that front. Okay, well, congratulations, you came in, you took out that one thing, you left. Now what's going to happen with that whole power vacuum? Now, because there's a lot of sub-organizations within the Black Hand.
Yeah.
So are now, instead of everyone underneath one banner, are we going to see 500 different little groups all doing their own thing and they're not organized at all?
Yeah.
So is that going to be better or worse?
And G Soda brought up something in the chat, which is like new Black Hand, because that's how the Black Hand works. And who knows, maybe like 2 or 3 Black Hands trying to duke it out, figure out who's going to be the new Black Hand. in Brightport of like 3 of her subordinates or something like that. But that's being really optimistic and saying that that gets taken care of quickly.
Yeah.
Also, we have to remember, I think, the reason why we're taking out the Black Hand in the first place. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the fact that she does crime.
Yeah, it's the
You know,
demon
like-
thing. Yeah.
Like, that's not the main reason we're taking her out. We're taking her out.
Threat to the
because-
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, I feel like no matter what happens, it's a better outcome than the world ending.
Right.
So
That's
like we
fair.
Yeah.
always win.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Well, like, okay, you walk in. Do you have any proof of that beyond? It's like, well, we had a vision. We spoke to God.
And
Again,
they're like,
You
what did
guys
you do right
sounded-
before that vision?
right? You guys sounded crazy talking to Jadzia. You imagine trying to convince an entire city of that? Like, it's like, well, you're just gonna have to take our word for
Yeah.
it. Like, that's not exactly due
Of course
process.
here, she was mucking around with demons, I promise.
Well, yeah, so it's
Yeah.
it's a tough thing to.
Also, we cut off her hands and ate them, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Some bullshit.
Well, yeah, I mean, but also looking at just kind of the average Joe perspective of, let's say you come in, it's a somewhat surgical operation, you're able to take that Black Hand out. Now there's all these sub-organizations that are all fighting for different power. Well, you just made the average Joe living hell living inside of that city, but they're not aware of what the other outcome was.
Right. Exactly.
So their perspective of what you just did is the absolute worst, and who knows, maybe a community of those band together and put a bounty on your head because of that.
And it could be like a Cuban Missile Crisis thing where years
Yeah.
later people find out and it's like, wow, that almost happened? Shit. But,
Yeah, absolutely.
you got to be years removed from that.
Didn't they know that the Cuban Missile Crisis was a thing?
Not to that extent, no.
Oh, okay.
No, because they didn't know how close they came to annihilation.
My mom told me they did, but she might not be a reliable witness, so I don't know.
Maybe she was on the inside.
Yeah. She was working for Castro.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
Never mind.
I say screw them all. Like, we're helping them. If they have a problem with that, they can go.
you can
Fuck
take
right
it up
off.
with Valerie.
You sound like such a little authoritarian, and I didn't expect that from you. I did, like, it's
We're gonna
like,
go in there. We're gonna make a dictatorship happen.
we're just gonna cut their fucking heads off if they speak up. What's the problem? Like,
Like,
I'll tell you something that is going to be imported to Brightport. Bean leavings. Let's talk about chocolate in Theria. Congratulations to Group B for discovering, quite accidentally, chocolate.
Well done. Well done.
yay.
That's the well done of a defeated man.
It is. It is. It's been an amazing time. I really congratulate you all on your win. Well, I forced coffee, basically, roughly.
Yes.
So I'll give you chocolate.
And
Bean leavings would be a better name for coffee.
it honestly
Yeah.
had nothing to do with what was best in that. That was a really fun scene, especially after such a heavy start to the episode where it's like, oh, we got to talk about all this political stuff. It's like, now let's go to a food cart and screw around for 35 minutes and
demons,
just
demons, war, demons, chocolate.
I get to like really get into describing gross ass food, and my favorite is listening to Karen react because I feel like she's the easiest to get a rise out of. Like you can just
Food stuff, yeah, for sure.
I feel like she's really good at visualizing like a smell or like a taste, and she's just like just
Yeah, like she gets visceral about it. Like Mandy also reacts very heavily, but it's just immediate. Like it's overarching. Like that's gross. Karen gets
Yeah.
there. She goes
Yeah.
to a place.
I feel like it.
We'll get a message from her in just a second.
Yeah,
I'm
Is
sure.
she here?
Yep, there we
hated
go.
everything about that. Let's talk about episodes 11 and 12 consecutively. Let's talk about stuff because we have a lot to go over. Because everybody out there had some opinions. It was 2 crazy weeks on the Discord server, on the Facebook page, all that. Like, it was a lot. And I'm glad we got Jasper here to say something for himself. And
yourself.
Defend Merrick.
So,
And I'm here to defend love.
Exactly. In whatever way, shape, or form.
I just have
Oh,
the grenades,
When we
that's
get
it.
into that, I have some things to say.
okay, great. Me too.
All right.
I can't wait. So,
Okay.
but let's start with episode 11. Now,
That was me rewinding.
The episode that didn't exist.
technically.
Yeah.
As far as you know.
Yeah.
So, the group has to fight Werewolf Merrick, and as things progress, they get worse and worse. And we really couldn't have planned it out better, but I was pinballing back and forth between, Merrick talking to Barak, and then the group fighting Merrick. So, Merrick's consciousness is just it's like the Hulk. Like, he can have this calm, rational discussion with a demon lord, and perhaps sign his soul away. Meanwhile, the rest of the group's just trying to kick this goddamn werewolf off the ship, get it away, and thank God there's only one of them. And it didn't roll particularly well,
Oh, yeah.
but neither did some of you. Which, it's not important who rolled a crit one and summoned the biggest monster we have in our book. Doesn't matter.
What we're looking at.
I just got all the stats in and everything. It would have fucking destroyed you.
Oh, we would have
Dude,
immediately died.
Yeah.
Jason did the math. It has a challenge rating of 16. Not that that actually means anything, but it means something.
It means you would have been gobbled up. Easily. Gone. But
So we'll get there. We'll get there. But I do want to come back to the point that crit changed everything for
Yes!
how
Oh, absolutely.
things
Yeah,
would have
it
happened
really
for
did.
Merrick, because there was a quick choose your own adventure, and
right.
that happened.
And let's
That changed
talk
everything.
about that, because you and I had a discussion. Like Michael Jaraki. Michael Jaraki was very upset at Merrick, not Jasper necessarily. Although he did write me and say you should be removed from the show and your head removed from your neck, but I don't think that was.
You know,
Okay,
that's
I love you still, Jasper. It's okay.
that's a separate conversation and is probably still valid.
But Merrick was clearly rejecting the offer up until that crit one. Up until, because it was well in hand. I hearken it to the greater good. The fight, that individual fight, was well in hand, but the larger battle wasn't. And, Malchus doing what he did probably cut out weeks, if not months, of fighting and, unnecessary suffering, all that stuff. But at the time, it felt very unnecessary, maybe. Now, as far as you go, you were rejecting the deal. Merrick was rejecting the deal, and then that crit one happens. The Romejo starts to surround the ship and get ready to attack it, and that's when you cave. So what's going on in your head there? What were you thinking?
Well, I'll just validate what you were saying. Basically, the whole time, if you've been listening to Merrick talking into Barak, it's been like I know you're in me. There's not much I can do about that right now. I might use you to the extent that I can feel comfortable doing that, and that would only be under certain guidelines, like don't hurt anybody. I don't want you to. I don't like the royals, but don't hurt them. I want my friends to be okay. I want to save the ship so that my friends aren't dying, because he doesn't know what's going on underneath. Everybody could be drowning underneath. So he's just trying his damnedest to make everything be okay. It's basically, he's got a parasite. He doesn't want to deal with it, but he's used it a little bit, probably more uncomfortably than he should. That's the limit. So anything else about some sort of contract would have been like, yeah, no,
Right.
go away. Like, I'm not, no.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
Like you're just kind of testing
100%.
the software. You don't want to buy a license. You just want to.
Not at all. And honestly, that's basically it's like I'll use this until my trial is up,
Exactly.
and then at that point, I'm deleting
Yeah.
it from the computer. I'm not going to. I'm really, and I think that's very very much true. It's like I will do this. It was never about Merrick. If just to give you some insight into what's going on in the background, it was never Merrick saying like, I'm tempted by this. Oh, maybe I'll go to the dark side of anything. It wasn't that. It's well, I've got this. Maybe it'll help, I guess. And if I've got it, and if it helps me and my friends, then great. Otherwise, not interested. And I'm going to get this completely taken care of as soon as I can, even before the werewolf thing, because Merrick feels like he's part of a werewolf thing. Like that's it. That Merrick is that, and getting rid of that's weird. But this is just some sort of weird parasite. Then turn it all around, and all of a sudden, in this last moment, and I can see the movie in my head about it all, and this 3D alternate like virtual reality hologram on the table. And it's like, oh, and by the way, I don't know if you realized, but this thing is underneath it about to destroy all of your friends after all of this has happened anyway. So Merrick never thought, oh, no, my friends killed me. I hope we could go back in time. It was, oh, yeah, they did the right thing. Anyway, you're going down to the bottom of the ocean, too. And great, problem solved everywhere. All problems solved except for Crit One and a bunch of tentacles. And that was really the moment. I mean, even for me, I was ready. That was going to be the, well, that's the way that, it ended for Merrick.
Right.
And in a way, nobody will ever know, but he did his part in saving, the world from Darmok and other things happening. But instead he had to decide, well, I guess I'll kick that can down the road. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'll get my friends. We'll figure it out. We'll do it again. We'll save the world. I don't care. We'll figure it out. But there was no chance up until that moment. And in fact, I didn't even consider it until that moment.
Yeah, that was because like when you snapped that pen in half, I believed you. I was like, oh fuck, this is a really cool end for Merrick, but I wish he weren't gone. And then the Crit One and and also the reveal that like, oh, I'm not in that statue. Fuck you. Like that was a double whammy.
Then it was like, okay, well then I don't have the leverage I thought I had, but I can save my friends. Friends.
Whoopsie.
That doesn't necessarily change the plan. It's just like, oh, this isn't as final as I'd hoped.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what, firstly, everybody in the chat, what were your thoughts? Were you angry? Were you excited? Were you happy? What, besides the fallout from that and what happened in that moment, what did you feel? And Valerie, I'd like to get Valerie's perspective on that because she's not in the group.
I'm not. Listening to it, I was driving home, listening to it. So I was in my car, and it was just so fun to listen to. Like every time something happened, it was like, oh my gosh! Like when Merrick, like I thought Merrick was about to sign the papers, and then he snapped the quill. I was like, oh my god!
That quill snap. Oh boy.
Yeah.
And just every time something happened, it was so exciting because I always come at it from this is the story and we're all just telling a story. Like I don't necessarily care how things go one way or another. I just get excited that they're going somewhere.
Right.
So all of this was so exciting. Like it doesn't really matter to me what happens. It's just that something cool is happening. And just the whole scene and everything was so cool and I loved it. And that's all I have to add to it.
Give us 1 second, Paige, because we're going to talk about the logistics of going back in time.
So I think that was one of the first few episodes that the first episode that I actually went to the Facebook page afterwards and posted a thing. It was like, oh my God, what just happened? Because there was so much stuff going back and forth. And this is a big call out to Jason of making the call to have Merrick watch from an overhead view as to what was happening, it was like, oh, that's so much of a demon dick move,
Right?
To do that.
Yeah,
It was
I'm gonna
horrible.
make you watch. Is
Yeah.
the-
Yeah, like you're gonna sit there and watch your friends take you on and watch you attack your friends, and you cannot do a thing about it.
And again, that's not knowing how the fight was going to go. It's
Oh,
just
no,
like, well,
absolutely.
I mean, that, like, okay. Obviously, that demon like, it has all the time in the world. So it was biding its time because it was along for the ride pretty much all of Arc 2. Barely spoke, and then kind of faded into the background until Merrick needed something. And specifically that day on that ship Merrick
Every
needed
day.
him a couple of times. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in that moment, it's like, I'm never going to get a better opportunity than this. Let's kick back. Let's hang out. Let's watch. Like, it's,
Yeah, and
it's terrible.
And it was one of the things leading up to, I guess, the ultimate decision that Merrick ended up making of, like, you can see the entire arc that we've had so far. Merrick's always been about, what can I do to help my friends?
Yeah.
And it's always been about the friends, other than the moments where he's just got overwhelmed with, like, I got to
He
deal
went a
with,
little-
with the Royals.
He
But-
went a little self-centered, but he was never
Yeah.
like anti.
Like, I'll sell
like,
my
he was
friends
like, no,
out
no,
to
no,
get
no, right,
ahead.
yeah, right.
I don't think Merrick has ever done anything that was against his friends' interests or purposefully hurt his friends ever. Like, and keep in mind, like, for a character that's been on the show that long, that's actually very impressive because almost every character does something to piss off their group or to, like, be underhanded about
Well,
stuff.
you know, he's
like, the
he's
worst
misguided.
the worst that he's ever done is, like, lie by omission.
Yeah.
Or chop off someone's hair that didn't want to be chopped off. Like, those were your two.
Yeah.
Those are the two.
But even
And
at
they
that
let
front,
you know.
But even by that front, though, from, like, coming at it with the perspective of Varys, it was, okay, well, if I call Merrick out of that he lied to me, he could easily just say, no, that's all in your head. This is something that we really need to deal with, and then just move on.
Mhm.
And, there's no reason for him to apologize. It's just something that we need to move on and we need to keep doing. But the fact that he just kind of sat there and was like, oh, crap, no, you're right. And then, that's Merrick's world is all about his friends and the people that he's traveling with. And so, when he sees the tentacle monster coming up underneath them, it's at that point, it's an easy decision.
I would say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, so Merrick doesn't look at it like I've lost and I need to give in. It's like, okay, this is just the next move in this game of chess.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
It's imagine a chessboard, and Merrick. It's just a small chessboard. It's just maybe like 5 by 5 squares, right? Something small, and it's just moving some pieces. He's been playing a very slow game with Barak a little bit, and he's like, okay, we're almost at the end of this, and thinking that he's either got a checkmate or, if nothing else, like a stalemate. It's like, well, you're not going to win. I'm not going to win. Who cares? Everybody loses, no problem, or whatever. But then all of a sudden, it's almost like Barrack said, "Oh, wait!" And then he pulls a piece of paper. And it's like, "Oh, the board is bigger."
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
really? Like it's like 18 by
Played for
18
a while
squares.
longer.
The fog
Fine.
of war was just
Yeah.
kind of pulled back a little bit.
So it's like, okay, fine. We'll just play a longer game. Fine.
And of course,
but it would never,
yeah,
yeah,
he's
it's
not
just-
going to play by the rules. Like that. It's
I'll just wait until I can find the other way to get you to that point.
I'm curious. I'm really curious to see how that conversation with the group is going to be, as far as what's going to come out as far as what was changed. Are we going to be told that time was altered, or is it going to be one of these things of just, hey, I made a deal with this demon and I need your help fixing it? Or, are we going to be left in the dark at that piece? Are we going to know more about it? Or is it just going to be this kind of like silent goal as we progress? So I'm very curious as to that.
That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
How do you tell your friends? Yeah. I changed everything. I made one decision that changed tons of stuff, and you had no say in it. and this, like, it's
Yeah.
a big,
Yeah.
it's almost a consent issue, I want to say, which is weird. But
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's strange. Like it could be a rough conversation to have.
Well, and so if I remember right, I think I asked a couple questions about this when we sat down to play the session after, was our characters, they don't get any sense that anything is different at all.
No.
For as far as what they are aware of, this is the way that it always was, always is, and always will be.
Mhm.
So it's not even like part of Merrick's argument would be like, come on, if you look at this, doesn't it just feel different?
Right.
Like, you can't even go to
He
the
could
emotional
try.
side.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
probably would try, honestly, and be like, just test it out. Like, I think he already gets the idea. I think he has a sense of what's going on. But he may like, hey, remember that thing? No. Oh, yeah, me either. You know, just to test the waters.
Yeah.
But we'll see how. We'll see what Merrick's plan is about how he might want to approach it, or at all, if not. I don't know.
So let's answer some questions. To catch everybody up who may not know what we're talking about. One, listen to the episodes. Two, essentially, Merrick signed his soul away to go back in time about not even 12 hours, like the beginning of that morning. That morning, yes. Not just that, but essentially kind of handing a blank check over to Bark that's just like, please make this better. Just give us a better chance. Like, give us a better start. So that seems like a very small decision. Because you could have chose to go back 2-3 years. And you and I had a long conversation about this.
Yeah.
You pitched it to me in that session. You could hear me react. It's like, oh, we could do that. Yeah. And like, I'm starting to write things down at that point. But I know what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. One of the big things was we don't want to make a big portion of the show feel like it was for absolutely nothing. We didn't want people to, it's like, oh yeah, all of Arc 2 didn't happen for these guys, something like that. Or make decisions that you guys have made, stuff in Uminero, stuff and, any of that reverse engineered and strip that away.
And I remember that was one of the times that everyone in Facebook was very upset, is like, this is bullshit, they're gonna go back in time and change everything and nothing matters. And it's like, I even think you responded to someone like, wait till the next episode.
Just take a breath.
You got a week to wait. Just don't assume the worst yet.
I think out of anything, if any time was going to change, it was perfect that it was just essentially one episode. Just one morning. That was the only thing that changed. But it also made it to where a few other things were almost kind of retconned in a sense. But as far as episodes, as far as product that was put out there to everyone, it was just one
canon
episode.
was not. Yeah.
Jason explained it to me, and the things that were retconned weren't technically retconned. Like,
so
it was like a better
it.
boat, and like that's pretty much what it was.
Explain the thing that I'm involved in if you feel like it.
Well, okay, I have a lot of people asking questions. It's like, well, what else has changed? What else has changed? So let me give you an example. What Barak did was not just make things better for the group itself, but everyone on the ship itself, and how you set sail. So there's this ripple effect starting with the glittering prize and moving outward. So, okay, obviously things for the group are better. How you left Uminero is a little better. Like everything, like obviously, the Royals got held up a little bit longer. The weather was better. The ship you had a better deal on that ship and all that stuff. On top of that, everything for the crew worked out better. So there's a tragic backstory to someone like Thoreen. Thoreen lost her brother. Because of the Strahd campaign. In this reality, Desmond never left Brightport.
Oh, snap.
That crew is alive. That's fine. So that's why Thoreen's not trying to raise the Romejo. That's why...
Jasper resurrected Tempest, guys!
So that's why we like. There's lots of little things that, of course, wouldn't come up in the episode, but like everybody in that crew is having a slightly better launch. Like your entire voyage is better because of these things. And like obviously there's crazy time nonsense. Like you should not have gotten to Talor as quickly as you did. That's Barak kind of like just go.
Yeah.
And then
They're
it's like,
blowing the sails just a little bit.
yeah, it's like, okay, now you're on your own. I gave you a good head start. You're good. But
No, Steve, that was not my Dragon Con resurrection. That is still in my back pocket.
yeah. So there's a lot of little things, and I like if a demon's going to make a pact with someone and you're going to sign your soul away, why not get your money's worth, right? Why not?
Yeah.
And to Barak's credit, it's not like a genie, like a monkey paw wish where he's trying to dick you out of your soul, and it's like, well, you didn't say, like, it's not that. It's like,
It's give me your soul.
yeah,
No, for real. I'll give you something in return.
Yeah.
Yours is a pretty big soul.
He's
Let
like,
me take it.
I got you. Fist bump. Boom. Okay, get out there. Be somebody. And like,
He keeps saying he keeps saying, and I don't know the motivations of it, but he does continue to say, no, I really actually like you, Merrick. And for some reason, Merrick believes that, even though he hates that even being part of the relationship.
right,
I
like it
believe
shouldn't
that
be
too.
personal.
Yeah, I believe that too. I think,
Yeah, like
I think
stop
as a
saying that.
god-
Just do the thing.
or as a demon, if you're alive that long, whenever someone's interesting, you like them. Like, right off
Probably.
the bat, like, oh, this is different. All right, let's
Like-
see what happens. Like,
Yeah.
If someone's going to make a deal, they probably either do so right away. Like they'll probably seek the demon out, right? It's like, hey, I'm in a real bad bind. Like, but there's like all this foreplay with Merrick. Like he had to get romance for a while. There was weeks on the road. You got to know each other. Like, yeah. So that moment where he gets to lock you down. Oh,
Well, speaking of that deal, one of the questions from Jasoda was, how much did you guys talk about that stuff behind the scenes?
here, I know the answer to that question because I was just around, so I'm going to use the restroom very quickly.
oh okay. I thought you were going to
That
answer
one.
it. It's like, I know the
Yeah,
answer.
I
so,
got you.
She is. She's going to do it in the bathroom.
Yeah. So I'm going to pee. And tell you. No. We had one conversation. And essentially it was just us reassuring each other that it's like, hey, this isn't to like strip anybody's agency away or screw anybody over or take away those moments. We basically wanted to talk and make sure that we were on the same page, which we were. And just kind of nail down little things, like things that Merrick would have wanted in the fine print, so to speak, and then tell me all the ways I could just kind of run wild with it, where it's like, I wouldn't be paying attention to this, this, and this. And I'm like, excellent. And I kind of get free reign of those things.
What about the point that we ended up kind of rewinding to? Was that part of the first suggestion?
No, that was just in the Skype thing. Like he asked in that moment.
Yeah, as I was thinking, as all of that. So first of all, just to back up for just a second, none of this was planned, right? Like everything that happened with Barak and
Yeah.
everything, like all of that just happened. And so it was really on the fly, like making decisions. It wasn't like some big arc we had come up with about Barak. In fact, it might not even come up all arc if, he hadn't stabbed his hand with a knife and tried to talk to him. I forgot what I was talking about now because I'm a long-winded person. What was I talking about? Oh, as we were talking about, like, I just said, Merrick just said, I just wish we could just go back in time. Like, it wasn't even really a wish. It was really just like an example of what please make it go away.
Right.
And then it kind of dawned on me, like, well, maybe if that can happen, maybe we could make that happen. And when would I go back? And like we've been talking about, I don't want to take away character agency. I don't want to take player agency. I don't want to take away like canon. Okay, what would be the easiest thing to do? And it would be simply get through the big storm and get through like people hurting each other and like pirates and it's just been like two big encounters.
Yep.
That's it. Just go back and make that be okay. So I typed it up and I had it ready in the Skype to you. and it was just waiting there for like probably 20 minutes until it got to the point where it could potentially come up. And I was like, I got it for you. Hang on.
Okay.
So I had considered it and sent it over, and then he said, yeah.
And then I tipped you over to the edge.
One errant kick, man. One.
All I was trying to do was kick him off the ship. Because I'm like, there's no way that's like... It's like, I know because of the level up and stuff, it's like my physical attacks are now considered magical, and it's not going to be necessarily that half damage and whatnot. But it's also at the other part, I know... Like, Ryan knows that he's healing and everything else, but I'm just thinking of from the desperation of Varys, my option is kick him off the damn boat, and then we don't have to deal with it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
To your credit, you kept kicking. Like,
Yeah,
you
no,
went
I
for
kept
it.
kicking.
You're like,
you did
no,
much
I'm gonna
better
kick
than
him.
the
Because the
follow-up.
other thing is that, Varys missing a kick, he's not going to know anything that, the Romejo was summoned behind him. So
Yes.
I couldn't even play that into effect if he's like, oh shit, all right, well, I can't do that anymore. He's going to keep kicking. He's going to keep trying to save
kicking.
everybody that's there.
I feel like that's a perfect example of why I like using those random crit tables. Just because, like, in one moment, one dice roll completely changed
Yeah.
both that fight, that deal, reality, everything. One dice roll. And I think that was really cool. Like, just, that was something that just would not have happened otherwise.
And not only that, Steve pointed out, Varys survived his first combat.
That's
Hey!
true.
So-
It only took a deal with
Oh,
a demon. for
actually,
No,
that
I mean,
combat
he
never
survived.
happened.
No.
Oh, no!
I mean,
Oh, fuck, that combat never
That
happened.
combat never happened.
Oh, right. Well,
Yeah, so that can't count toward my stat. But yeah, I mean,
think-
but technically
weird.
inside the combat, he was alive when where I forgot what we ended up calling him at that point in time, but
Because it's
Warwick.
Warwick, and it kept
There we
bothering me,
go.
so I was like, Willow's here!
but when Warwick was dead or dying and not going to be doing anything else, Varys was still up. So technically,
the way I see it, the way I see this is not that reality was erased. It's simply it got edited. So it stopped, and then an edit happened where it just
And that's
in memory was
to kind of
erased.
ruin it, though. As far as Varys, like, living through his first fight, I don't think there would have been a short rest between Merrick dying and the Romejo attacking, so I think that would have been the same combat.
I actually think the Romejo would have waited an hour.
no, I don't think there would have even been a combat. So I think that would have just been like tentacle up, grab the ship, down.
I'll put an asterisk on it for you, Steve says.
Thanks, Steve.
Let's talk about all the lovely stuff. You know what? Let's
The
talk
lovely
about
love stuff.
Yeah, let's talk about sex, everybody.
Let's
That's
talk
what we're
about
here to
sex,
talk about.
baby.
Oh, look
Let's
at
talk
Val.
about
Okay.
And
I have some things to say.
Okay.
Oh, so did the world.
I do too. I got feelings and thoughts. I want to hear yours. Just 1 second. So, one of the things that happened. Not only is the ship better and all the crew are in better spirits and all that stuff, Clara and Zalu ended up hooking up in a mostly tasteful interlude on the ship. It could have been worse, Valerie. Read our Discord channel. It could have been worse.
Could have been worse.
Could have been worse. I think we avoided a lot of the lower hanging fruit. But before we get to everything else, how did you feel about it?
Okay, so I was not expecting that. First of all, that is not like I knew Clara would catch feelings for Zalu as soon as they met, but first of all, they hadn't even met yet. Like canonically, like they passed each other in the ship and stuff, and like, oh, we're trying to solve this problem together.
Yes.
That got retconned, and like the one time that Zalu had a speaking role, Clara wasn't even in the room.
No.
But I knew as Brianna, like, Oh, first of all, Clara would be interested in that because I'm interested in that. Because I liked the voice and the personality that came with that voice, and I was really excited about it. And then that happened, and I was literally on the other side, like, I was in the other room recording, like I do, and I was just like, oh my god, how do I do this? Like, I wasn't sure I could get through the scene. Because I'm not composed. And... yeah, so I really liked it, though, in a sense that it kickstarted something that I'm very excited about.
Well, so
fair.
It's not just a booty call for you. Like, it is a relationship to
Clara
Clark.
made that very clear, very quick. And I like that we made the joke about, because I'm bisexual, and I know about lesbian relationships, though I haven't been in a serious one. And the joke about, like, well, are we getting married next week? Like, when are we moving in together? Like, that joke is real. Like, that's a thing that some lesbians tend to do. So I thought it was kind of funny, but also real for Clara, because I think she is a romantic. And I think that was kind of cute.
Knox in the chat. How would that scene have gone different if Bree and Jason were in the same room recording that? I would have went full tilt. Like, I would not have pulled back.
I would have ran away.
I think, Bree would have folded, and it would have just been like, and scene from as soon as like the.
That's a game of roleplay chicken. I'm on it. Like,
we joke about it a lot. I don't handle sexual things very well, like jokes or anything like that. You can find in our Twitch channel somewhere a video game where a tiny pixelated character eats too much, gets a tummy, and then dies. Like, that's the death scene. I'm a chubby chaser. We don't mention it often. My face turned so fucking red, and Jason mocked me the rest of that episode. And I just wanted to die.
Yeah.
So, like, something like that, I wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Well, even from like, obviously I was there and I was listening live as it was going on, but it was something that you could hear, like, there was a lot of hesitation, and I pictured Bree pulling up the covers, even though in another room, just to, like, put yourself in your own bubble, and then you were able to do it.
I didn't even read it that way. I read it as like it was another game of chess where you're like, well played. I must have you.
No, I was sitting like this. I was like, but yeah, like, it was very Iron Bull. I liked that.
Valerie, you had thoughts.
Okay. So like I mentioned before, also this episode I listened to while driving home. And I am so happy I was in the car by myself driving, because when I tell you I screamed at the top of my lungs multiple times.
Oh man, imagine
shattered.
The bass in Zalu's voice rattling through a car stereo system.
Don't say
man.
that.
Yeah, it just kind of hugs and surrounds you.
I love her voice, like, for realsies.
Now I just picture a guy on, like, the bicycle that's right next to your car, like, at a stoplight, and just hearing the, like, reverberated, I must have you.
He's screaming.
Look, Audible has a whole romance section now, and it's all porn, so, like, that's just normal now. That's the world we live in.
Okay. Is it just the intimacy of the situation? It was just too much? Like, it was nails on a chalkboard?
Yes. And, like, I'm friends with the people behind the voices.
Fair.
That does not help.
And I didn't like it.
Fair. Let's talk about memes. Now, I've had a conversation with Bree behind the scenes.
Many a conversation.
Because
not one.
Only one or two, you know.
I just wondered, every once in a while we look at each other and remember that we live together, and then we go, oh yeah, you. But this...
Oh no, really? I'm sorry, I just read in Theatrical Scott said this was the episode that Ben finally convinced his mom to listen to DNR. No! Please tell me that's not true. Please tell me that was a joke. Oh, I need to apologize to Ben!
Rob, I am so sorry.
Ben, you're welcome.
Yeah, man.
Maybe that was the episode to do it with. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know Ben's mom.
I'm so sorry. Wow.
God.
Well,
Sorry, memes. I'm sorry.
That's ruined.
I read that and I couldn't react to anything you were doing.
that's fine. So, okay. Memes are a thing on the internet. They're always going to be. And anytime anyone feels pretty much any way about a story, it gets memed to death. Now, I have sort of, I've expressed my feelings on memes. I kind of feel like sometimes it can take away from a character or reduce them to a one-note joke. Now, there are some characters that totally get by. I think PCs have 10 times more likelihood to move on as long as they have... Like, okay, how long did Blue last for Malchus and, you know...
Cape Switch Walk Away.
Cape Switch Walk Away, The Greater Good, all that
They
stuff.
still get brought up, but they don't define the character.
Right, because Malchus has a broad... a nice broad CV that he can go, I've done these other things too. If an NPC gets to be on the show, which isn't rare, but it's rare that they get a speaking role and kind of have it be fleshed out. It can be very easy for a meme to just define them.
Yeah.
With the Clara and Zalu thing, I was kind of interested in seeing what people thought of the relationship. And what I ended up seeing was a lot of pussy references.
Yeah.
A lot of like, Clara likes that pussy. Pussy. Like, I saw people make the same joke about 4 times, and that's
Hairball.
like,
That's
hairball was another. It's like,
yeah.
come on.
And like I like the jokes too, so like I get it. Like, and we've had this conversation a bunch, so please, we're gonna say that a bunch as we say it because it's like you've heard this.
Yeah.
But I think memes are just a part of the internet that you're not gonna stop, and like I don't think it takes away from anything. Like the word boy did not ruin God of War. It almost did. I'm sure it almost did, but it didn't. The Clara thing, the thing I'm worried about now, and I expressed this to Jason, is like, if it's just going to be a joke, then I don't get to have the relationship with that character that I was excited for.
And I guess back to back, the only two things I can compare it to was like, okay, we got a lot of in-depth thought and analysis of the Merrick situation. And the next episode, all I saw was pussy jokes. So it's it's like, is that all that was taken away from that? Damn. I thought, so then I start second guessing. It's like, did I do a bad job? Was that character not interesting enough to take anything out of it other than the fact that she's a cat person? And I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on this because I'm far too close to the situation. So I don't know if that's even something you notice. Because
the other example you gave, and just to provide context for people, was Julie.
Yeah.
Like, Julie is a bitch. That's the joke, and like, no matter what she's done since that, it doesn't seem like anyone can think past that joke, that meme of Julie being a bitch. Even though, like, her and Una have made up, and her and Jadzia have clearly made up, and, like, she's gone off to do different things. And I thought that was a good example of, like, yeah, you're right, she never did kick that.
And that's just, I think sometimes people make a very strong first impression, and it's very difficult to break away from that. Like, Vecna Daddy became a thing overnight.
Vecna Daddy was the other one you brought up.
Right, and I can't be mad at that because we sold a shirt with Vecna Daddy on it because people really liked it, and that's cool. I don't want to take that away from anybody, but I guess, like, it's like you're waiting for a review of something, and I don't know, it's very difficult. I'd love to get, because you guys are third parties listening, so does any of that stick out to you, or is it just kind of just part of the internet?
So I have two comments about kind of all that together. The thing about the NPC versus PC and kind of those interactions, being able to move past the meme and stuff like that. I think that truly boils down to the screen time that they get. You know, Theo is a good example of still being a NPC, but being able to move past some of the early content.
Yeah.
obviously that's because he had more screen time. PCs are going to be the same exact thing.
Totally.
Players are going to be able to move past the blue statement that, Cape Switch Walk away because of the screen time. So I think that's just a time thing. Over time, it will be fine. The second thing is, personally, I see the meme about, the whole kind of love relationship thing of more of a reason to show that there's more to it than just that. Because, obviously there is a want and a desire to explore that as a relationship in general within that story. So let's prove that it's more than just a one-night stand or a quick little storyline, and then we never see it again. That's the way that I would take it.
Right. And to Bree's credit, I think anything involving sex in a role play, I think that's an easy way to give her anything awkward.
Yeah, you joke about it because it's like, this is weird.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. And I do think that time matters too, like you said, because the Julie thing is a good example of like, they made up. We only saw the tail end of their adventure where they made up because it had to be small enough to fit.
It's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough to have this character be fleshed out as the way that she was and her attitude, and then later sort of say, oh, but it's fine now. And for people to go, oh, I see, it's all changed. That's not how it works. I really do think, to Ryan, to echo what you're saying and what everybody's saying, and I think it was said in the chat as well, there hasn't been enough time for Zalu to be around for this to become something more than that first glimpse of, oh, you walked out of a hotel room with a person, wearing a cat suit. Okay, what's going on there? And then later you're just like, oh, I get more context. I see it. I think that it's going to be completely fine in the sense that, yes, it's all low-hanging fruit. I think that was said in the chat too. It's all just low-hanging fruit. It's like, get it out of the way. Yeah. It was maybe 60, 90 seconds worth of airtime that it all happened. I don't remember. A couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, good. Got that out of the way, get all the low-hanging fruit out of the way, make the jokes. Now it's Zalu becoming a real thing. And it's not even about the relationship necessarily. It's simply, okay, now there's an opportunity to find out more about Zalu, which will then mean there's more about Clara, which will mean that there's more for Clara to talk to Merrick about or whoever.
Yeah.
Point is that it opens up stuff. And I think that it's simply the beginning of something that this will be. The memes are just the way to get it out of the way. And also you're dealing with a bunch of nerds. We're all a bunch of nerds who are all very uncomfortable to the point where it's like, oh, there's sex with cat thing. I don't know what to do about that. And then,
how many jokes did we make about it behind the scenes? Like,
guess what? I was guilty of it too.
About that.
But it's also just dealing. Too. I threw something.
Yeah, it's dealing with it the immediate and then moving on.
Yeah.
I'm
not worried about it.
From my point of view, like, okay, you create a character, and you might not have the best first outing that first night, but you're going to have another session, and you'll find that character. Like, Valerie, I think you'd be the first to agree that the first time you played Elena, it's like, I'm not. I don't have it quite yet. Like you're honing in on it as time goes on. There's a lot of times where I'll create a character and then sit on it for years, and then see the trolley coming down the street, and I'm like, okay, here we go, and then I leap, and you get one chance to make a first impression. And that first impression sometimes just sticks, especially...
Sometimes you name a fucking vampire Edward, and you're fucked forever, and...
I'm on my third big vampire character. Didn't work out the first two times.
This one's working out, though.
So far, it isn't dead yet or anything. But, sometimes you just don't... It doesn't pan out like you think it's going to. So I never know if that first impression is going to be something that's still around in 2 years. Like, I don't know if I'm going to hear cat memes in 2021, or if that gets to be a character that develops. So it was in the contract with Barak. It can't happen.
Okay. So there was a 24-hour grace period, and after that, it's not there. So.
I'm looking forward to this kind of being the new Theo, the new Valis of, if someone's that close to the party, then we just have another person to interact with, another person to develop relationships with, another person to help the story. That's ultimately the way that I see it.
And that's the reason I glob onto NPCs. Not even... So far it's been 2 romantic ones, so to be fair, like, I don't have... But Santos tried her fucking best to get a Warforged to join our party. He was not having it. So, like, I love adding NPCs to the mix as close to the party as they can get, because it adds another voice to everything.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Honestly, we've just landed on a continent that is completely mysterious and different than our own. We may be leaving it soon, but also we're now on a continent. This person is from that continent. So there's a lot of reason why Zalu doesn't have to be the main character for everything that goes on from this point forward, but there's absolutely a very big reason why, you know what? Yeah. Somebody in this party actually might want to pull Zalu aside and say, help us.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on? What can we do here? Why not?
That's a really good transition, because it was kind of cool to just shop in a different environment. Yeah. Like, you didn't see a lot of Westport in Talor, but just getting to see different weapons and like showcasing what makes
freaking grenades. I mean, like that's that's like so the golden snitch that I'm holding on to at this point.
It's a very Lord of War situation where it's just, I picture just weapon stockpiles.
Yeah.
Bloop, 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 bloop. Blink, blink. It was like buying stuff off of the list.
Yeah.
Merrick never actually, he didn't, I was getting really tired by the time that episode was over. So I didn't push it at all. And I wasn't even thinking, cause it was super late. It was super cool and I was happy about it, but I didn't go shopping. But I do have stuff that I want Merrick to go shopping for whenever we start back up.
Good.
You guys got money. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, unless anybody has anything they'd like to bring up that we didn't get to cover tonight, and I'll give you a chance to chime in now.
There was a question in the chat I saw earlier, and I'm sorry I don't have the name that was attached to it. In this new universe, did Avalanche still kill an old man?
Totally killed a guy.
Okay, damn.
Yeah. However, less witnesses.
Killed a guy. Less witnesses.
Less witnesses.
Okay, fair.
Oh,
fair.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
That's good.
I'm sad that he still had to go through that, but like, okay.
Spiderhook said you described the shop, and the thing that popped into my mind was the first Matrix where the gun racks just slid into front.
It's the exact same thing that popped in my head, and I'm like, okay, well, what? Can I
one side is the line folk, one side is.
Speaking of loving NPCs, I love how that shopkeep just kind of like, oh, we're gonna take care of you, you tiny little man. We're gonna just farm you to the guild.
Oh,
like,
that guy wasn't a shopkeep.
He was just a guy?
He was just a dude. He was just a dude who wanted to share. It's like, check this out. Like, he was just really...
That's amazing.
He's like a gun enthusiast hanging out.
That happened to me at Home Depot.
We're going to make you build a deck. Let's go. Like, you're just...
You tiny woman. Build a deck for me.
What did they get you to buy at Home Depot? What were they trying to get you to buy?
Well, we were looking for toolboxes for my brother, and just this man was like helping my mom and I pick out a toolbox. And then I found axes, and I was like, "What about an axe?" And he was like, "That's a good axe. It's like Everlast or something." I'm like, "Okay, thanks."
It wasn't Everlast. Everlast is sports equipment.
Oh, I don't know.
Unless they've really branched out.
Everstrong. I don't know.
But I don't know. But no, that weapon shop got me really excited about all that stuff. And then, like, I had to sit there and, like, I went back to all of the martial art weapons and stuff that I've used in the past and was like, okay, well, what would be something that he could use? And it was like, put my mic on mute and then furiously typing into Google of different stuff to be able to look for.
And from my point of view, I know dick all about weapons. So I'm making stuff up that, like, it's like, well, on this continent, it would probably be a little more primal, a little more hand-to-hand for the lion folk and stuff like that. So there'd be a lot of, like, it's like, let's take advantage of their natural agility, size, and strength. Like, okay, boom. And
at least in the lion folk ones.
Yes. Well, that's another reason that lion folk was kind of pushing to, okay, this side of the shop is Lion Folk stuff. You should buy some Lion Folk stuff. Don't go over to the Gifts Dry side.
Wait,
but also-
is that where Clara found the necklace? The Gifts Dry side? That makes total sense.
No,
Yep, that
there's
checks
more.
out.
Yep.
I'm gonna hurt you from far away because I am small and reading a book right now.
But no, I mean, with just the fact that Varys fights with his hands, I mean, that's perfect for all of that. So, there we go.
G Soto says, Jason, you own more weapons than most use.
That's true.
That's fair. I have been gifted weapons, and I have splurged on weapons.
You have. We got to hang that up. We got hangers now.
Yeah, so I got a broadsword.
I put hangers for his broadsword in his stocking because
You go to Amazon and type in sword hanger and see what comes up. Is that what happens?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
And there's some really cool ones.
There's
I couldn't
hangers out there
afford.
for swords.
I couldn't afford the really cool ones. I went the cheapo route.
That's
a little
fine.
Bit, but
As long as it sticks up on the wall, it's for home defense mostly. So it's
Well, that makes
I feel like the axe would be better for home defense.
Oh, well, the axe is much more portable.
Yeah.
But my desk is a little in the way. It's more of a display piece right now.
No.
I am not kidding. Okay. I would like to think that if we were about to be burgled, that you see someone coming at you with a broadsword, you'd probably think twice. I would like to think. Either that or I would be shot instantly.
Especially if you're just in your boxers like how you sleep.
Oh my god, yeah.
No.
Just running towards
Please,
the door.
please, like a
A
barbarian.
giant hairy man running at you with a
Just
You got a broadsword
Please
in one
code
hand and
it.
an axe in the other.
Yeah. Please just always have it coated with a very thin layer of oil and just light it on fire.
Oh.
Just so we can have this, you and your boxers in a t-shirt.
Yep.
will be less
That's
burgled
it,
but
with
more
a
house
flaming
burnt down.
broadsword.
Yeah.
That needs to be a poster, just in
You
general.
know what?
I'm saying that
That's
sexy
the new
DNR
logo.
calendar's got to be a thing one day,
Yeah.
and
God,
we just
You need to do that. Because, I think at this point, I think you have more weapons than I do.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh,
Probably
no,
not.
you do. Yes,
How
you
many
do.
do you have?
Well, considering all mine are ones that I train with, and I don't have a lot of copies of them.
This is a different podcast.
This is a different
Yeah.
podcast.
We're doing a
We'll,
new thing.
we'll talk after the show.
So this is its own podcast. It
That's
could be
the-
another thing.
You know what? When Museum Replicas was a sponsor, I wish I had money back then because I would have purchased so much shit from them. Oh my! I may still do that.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us through 2019. That's it. That's all we got for you guys. We will see you early in January. Everything's going to change January 1st. You're going to wake up and you're going to see a brand new DNR, brand new Patreon, brand new episodes, brand new everything. Trust us. And we can't wait to get your thoughts and feelings on everything. If you haven't had a chance to check out our Patreon, go to patreon.com/DANDR. And for just $1, you can get $1. You can get some really prime content. And if you're out of episodes, for $5, you get behind the scenes stuff. And trust me, we're idiots and we ramble on for hours. And we talk mostly about food because that seems to be our passion and the thing we fight over the most on all three groups.
Yeah.
It cycles through food and Pokemon for a while it was, and some other stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
ranch dressing.
Yeah, here lately we've had different questions from Bree. So
That's true. I stole that idea from Susan just to give credit where it belongs.
okay.
But yeah.
But it's starting to mix up. We're starting to get a little bit of everything
I think
in there.
Ian grabbed some questions for the one I'm on. He at least had one question about bees. So
Yeah. We
look
usually just
forward to
argue
that
about
in
food on Group
2020.
B.
Yeah.
Group B, one of us says, "Oh man, I just had blank," and then half of the group says, "Yay, blank," and then the other half says, "Fuck you, I'll kill you," and then we talk about that for a good hour.
People have opinions on candy corn that I don't co-sign.
That's fine. You can be wrong. Thank you guys so much. We will see you in 2020 with a brand new Group B.
Double crits.
Bye.
Bye.
Anyway.
See you later.